I don't know. I'd say I'm reasonable.
Okay, that's completely unreasonable.
I'm reasonable.
I'm unreasonable.
You have no idea just how reasonable I have been.
Reasonable synonyms are sensible, rational, practical, fair, appropriate.
Fitting, suitable, logical.
All things I would definitely say describe me.
Do they describe you?
Welcome to I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson.
I'm reasonable. I'm reasonable. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson. I am Zainab Johnson, and it is 1:23 in the morning, Los Angeles time. So y'all know when I'm tired, I'm wacky. And so let's try to get through this episode. I actually was like, what's out there to talk about this week? Like, I really had no interest in, I didn't have a strong interest in really anything. I thought. And then I went back and looked and realized I had kind of did an outline for an entire episode. And then I was like, based on like villains. I wanted to talk about like villains. And whatever. I won't even get into it because I was like, I don't feel like doing that this week. How are you guys doing? We gonna make it through, and I'm gonna show up for y'all because y'all show up for me. So how y'all doing on a scale from 1 to the BET Awards? How reasonable have we been? The BET Awards was the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know why, because the BET Awards just came on. Anyway, the debate was on last week, but I guess that's old news. Ooh, no pun intended. I guess pun intended. It is old news though. I guess if you saw the debate, it was pretty hard to watch. Like, I felt like I was watching elder abuse, and I am not like making fun of anybody. It was really hard to watch. It was like Biden seemed like he was not there. And which, if you're a person that is like, oh, they're cloning people, there's clones walking around and existing and all of that, I would say that President Biden is a really good indication that they are not successfully cloning people. Because if they were, wouldn't that have been the perfect time to just let a good old, strong, vibrant, new clone, or should I do a shameless plug, new upload? Well, wait, what is it technically? You upload, your consciousness is in a virtual heaven, right? A virtual afterlife. But then when you download, you're actually in a body again. But I'm not sure if we call them clones. We just call them downloads. In the spirit of the show that I am on, Upload, created by Greg Daniels, in the spirit of Upload, they could have just downloaded a new Biden if that was possible. If we're just doing it regularly and like downloads are like walking the earth and nobody knows, why not download a new Biden and have him be like in tip-top shape for the debate? So I'm just saying, I feel like his performance definitely debunked that. And then Trump just be lying. Just be lying. Like, can you tell, can you tell the truth? That's what it's like. Okay, you don't got to be a certain age. You could be a criminal. You could be all of these things and still be president. But you should have to pass a lie detector test. Anyway, Biden, I think, made a statement today saying that, damn, I'm already into the show and I didn't give y'all my show dates yet. Okay, let me finish this out real quick. Biden said that he had did too much. He had like overexerted himself and he was about to fall asleep during the debate. And I know he said that it wasn't an excuse. He was just trying to explain what was happening because it was jarring to see. And it's not like, yo, you being incapable of like standing for 90 minutes doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you it's not even grounds to really like make fun of you, but it is cause for concern when we're talking about someone running an entire nation. Anywho, he said it wasn't a justification or an excuse, but just an explanation for the very sad thing that we watched last Thursday. But it's like, here's the thing. It doesn't help for you to say that you're tired. Like he said that he did a lot, that his staff advised him to not do so much, but he was traveling back and forth across the world and he overexerted himself. But that's literally the job. Like literally the job is for you to show up, be everywhere, go to all of these different countries if you have to, be on, Air Force One all the time, be traveling back and forth to Delaware if that's what you want to do, be able to make a bunch of speeches, be able to, have a debate. Like that's a part of the job. This is what we're trying to figure out if you're capable of doing. So if you're saying that you're doing exactly what the job requires and then you can't stay awake, well, then that's essentially the problem, And like I said, Trump be lying. You know what really, like, I kind of wonder, I want to say it bothers me because it does bother me, but it doesn't like ruin my day or anything. I just be wondering, like, so many people are so like, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it, you guys, because I'm tired and my threshold is very low. People are idiots. A couple of weeks ago, whenever that was that I posted like about the Juneteenth celebration at the White House, so many people was like, oh, okay, well, when you vote for Trump, we'll see how this turns out. Who said that? Just because I am taking a headline, because that's what I did. I took a headline. I stripped the headline straight from all of the most respected and reputable news outlets that said that he was in basically a stupor, that he was just still, that he didn't seem like he was present for the event as much as he was standing there. All I did was take that headline and kind of try to explain why in the same way that he is doing this week in regards to the debate. So for anybody to watch me doing that and me doing that or attempting to do that in like a comedic way, in a humorous way, because I'm a comedian, and to say, well, when you vote for Trump, vote for Trump and see how that works for you. It's like, remember in math when we had to do like, like, what am I trying to say? Oh God, it's late. It's like I was about to do like theory, and then I was about to go into the Pythagorean theorem, and it's like, no. But it's like, how are you guys getting to your conclusions? Not you guys, but like the idiots. How are you drawing your conclusions? That's almost like, first of all, I wasn't even criticizing Trump. I mean, Biden. Phew, it's going to be a long episode, y'all. It's not going to be a long episode, but it's going to feel like a long episode for me to get through because it's the 1:31 a.m. I'm going to say the time as we keep going. But I wasn't actually criticizing him really in my Juneteenth episode. But even if I was, that's possible too. To like criticize somebody and still choose them as your candidate because even in your critique, they still are the better candidate. Like that's possible. Why? It's like if someone said, because I just want people to realize how ridiculous they sound, how ridiculous their responses are, how ridiculous they can be in the comment section. It's like if somebody stepped outside and was like, oh my God, it's so hot. And then somebody else walking by was like, then move your ass to London. What? When did me moving all the way across the world become an option or become mandatory just because I'm acknowledging that it's really hot outside? No, I'm not going to move to London. I'm just going to go cool down. I'm going to go in my house or go into my car or in a room that's air conditioned. Why I got to move all across the world? Do you know what I'm saying? Do y'all? It's like, whatever. Anywho, speaking about going all across the world, I got shows. I'm actually home this whole week, and I'm really happy about that because you guys know I need the rest. I need the actual rest. But coming up, I have shows in Virginia Beach, July 12th and 13th, Virginia Beach, Virginia. I was actually, this past weekend, I was in Richmond, Virginia for one night only, and it was a wonderful experience. It was wonderful. I had two shows. Speaking of Biden and Trump, my late show in Richmond, it was a lot of older people, like mostly older people. And that usually doesn't happen. A Saturday night, late night crowd are usually drunk young people. But it was older people and a lot of older men. And this guy came up to me after the show and he was like, hey, you left me. Like I felt left out. And I was like, why? And he was like, because you never asked about the 80-year-olds. And I was like, no, I said, is there anybody 70 and over? And no, you didn't say anything. And he was like, oh, I thought you were going to, call out the 80s. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. How old are you? And he was like, I'm 82. And I was like, dang, he's the same age as our president, but this black guy, he looked much younger, but also was like, just really, I mean, not only did he look younger, but he was really high functioning. And it made me realize, like, it is hard to say. I think that's why, the term ageism exists, because you don't want to discriminate just because someone is a certain age. But it really is a case-by-case basis. There really are 80-year-olds that are driving and they see very clearly. Like none of their senses are impaired. Their judgment is still intact. And so, yeah, they should be able to drive. Their driving record is pristine. They're not having any sort of like delayed symptoms. But then you have other people who are in that same age range and they are severely delayed in their motor skills and et cetera, et cetera. And so it really just is like case by case. Now, yeah. Is it more likely that someone in their 80s is going to have less motor function, et cetera, than someone in their 30s, 40s, 50s? Yeah, of course, but it really is case by case. Anyway, I was in Richmond last weekend for two shows, and they were great. So thank you. Thank you to everybody that came out to Richmond Funny Bone to see me perform. Like I said, coming up July 12th and 13th, I will be in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I appreciate all of y'all to be just showing up to multiple shows. Like y'all are in a city that connects you to a lot of other cities, and like you don't mind going to your local city when I'm there. You don't your local club when I'm there, and then driving an hour and a half when I'm somewhere else, and then driving 2.5 hours when I'm somewhere else. Or like, oh, you going to visit a friend and like I'm performing in that city at that time, and you come to the show then. Like, I just want to tell y'all, thank you so much. Thank you. After Virginia Beach, I will be in Columbus, Ohio, July 18th. July 19th and 20th, I will be in Cleveland, Ohio. July 24th, I will be back home in Los Angeles, California. Remember I told you guys I sold out that smaller room at the Improv, so now I'm in the bigger room, so you guys got to get those tickets. July 24th, Los Angeles. July 31st, I'll be in East Hampton, New York. Then August 1st, Boston, Massachusetts. August 2nd and 3rd, West Nyack, New York. August 22nd through the 24th, Chicago, Illinois. September 13th and 14th, Bloomington, Indiana. September 18th, Raleigh, North Carolina. September 19th through the 21st, Washington, D.C. September 27th and 28th, I will be in St. Paul, Minneapolis. October 17th through the 19th, I will be in Philadelphia. October 25th and 26th, Detroit. November 15th and 16th, Paris, France. And oh wait, we actually added an Amsterdam date. I will be in Amsterdam November 11th. Monday, November 11th, I will be doing one show, one night only in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, November 11th. And then I will head to Paris, November 15th and 16th. And then London for an entire week, November 18th through the 23rd, London, England. And November 29th through December 1st, I will be in Ontario, California. December 4th, one night only, Austin, Texas. December 6th through the 8th, December 6th, 7th, and 8th, Houston, Texas. The link to the tickets for any and all shows are in the details of this podcast. So all you got to do is just look down below you right now and scroll down. You'll see all these dates printed out for you, just in case I said that or read that off a little bit too fast. And the link to the tickets are right there with the show dates. Okay, so make sure you guys come out and see me. If I'm in a city near you, or if you want to travel, if you want to drive, just know that I am immensely grateful for you doing that and showing up for me. This is the time now to click that subscribe button. I see my subscribers are going up, and I ain't even been diligent about posting the shorter clips, and you guys are still subscribing. So thank you. Hit that subscribe button right now. While you at it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And at the end of this episode, if you like what you saw, then go ahead and share it with somebody. So what's up with Z? Like I said last week, I flew to Kansas City. I think you guys knew that. I flew to Kansas City, and so when I was getting on my flight to Kansas City, the guy behind me, I had turned around, like I had boarded the flight pretty late, and most of the overhead bins in the front were full, and so I had to go maybe like one row beyond my I had to go like one row beyond my seat to put my roller bag in the overhead. And after I did that, I had turned around to hurry up and like scurry back to my seat. And when I turned around really fast, the person that was behind me, he was like right up on me. And I think he was like a little bit flustered too. Like I said, we were boarding the flight very last minute. I didn't know someone was behind me though. I thought I was the last person to board the flight. And I turn around and he apologizes because he kind of now we kind of like bump into each other, right? And so he apologizes, and when he apologizes, I kind of get a good look at him, and he was an actor, and I should have looked up his name. Let me look up his name right now. Let me see, cast. Let's see if he comes up as the immediate cast. Come on. Okay, so his name is Keith. I don't think I ever knew his name. Wow, this is a long last name. His name is Keith He plays Little Mo on the show Your Honor. And so Your Honor is a show starring Bryan Cranston. It's on Showtime. Pissed me off. It's on Netflix now. I think it's in the top 10. It's a good show, but it was hard. I was so mad. It's the only thing that I've ever watched Bryan Cranston in that made me not like Bryan Cranston. Anywho, his name is Keith Machekanyanga. Machekanyanga. Machekanyanga? Machekanyanga. Anywho, I believe. Oh God, I hope that's the right person. It is. Yeah, it is. It's because this one picture that they have of him, this main picture, looks very different than what he looks like now. Anyway, I didn't know his name. Clearly, I didn't know his name, right? But it's like I remember him from the show. And so when I realized it was him, I was like, oh my God, like I really loved you on that show. In the moment, like we're so flustered that we just ran to catch our flight, right? I had to go past my seat to put my bag up. I turn around, he's kind of like on me, not in like a, violating way, but it's just like a lot is happening, right? And so as much as I know the name of that show, I didn't know his name, but I know the name of that show. I couldn't think of it in the moment, but I knew exactly where I knew him from. And I was like, oh my God, I loved you on that show. And he was like, oh, thank you. And then he was like, then he caught himself and he was like, I'm sorry, I'm so flustered. Like I almost missed a flight. And then like we were experiencing almost like the same emotion, right? So I was like, oh, no apologies necessary. And then after the interaction, after me essentially giving him a compliment, I went to my seat and I kind of felt bad. I kind of felt like, damn, should I have not said anything? Like, was it kind of like a backhanded compliment? Because I was like, hey, I love you on that show, but I don't know your name. And right now it don't seem like I know the name of the show. So like, did I really love you? Do I really love the show? So you guys, I wanted to bring that to you. Like, is it unreasonable or is it reasonable rather to see a performer that you like, know that they are very recognizable to me? Obviously you recognize them, but you can't think of their name. You don't know their name. And I mean, listen, we're not going to know a lot of people's names now since we can skip right past the credits. Remember when we used to have to watch the credits? And that's how you knew your actors, the names of the people that you were watching. It's like now that's non-existent. So it's like more and more. If I didn't know people before streaming, I ain't gonna know people now. And so I didn't know his name. So is it reasonable to not know an actor's name, maybe not even recall the name of the actual show in the moment, but still try to pay the person a compliment? Or should you just be like, I don't even got enough information to sell this, so, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to just sit my ass down and not say nothing? I don't know what y'all think. What y'all think? Also, speaking of the plane, I'm a person who always chooses the window seat, but I'm also a person that drinks a lot of water. I especially drink a lot of water before I get on a plane because I know that flying and being in the air is like dehydrating, right? So I'm that person that be having a window seat. And it don't matter if I'm in like first class or if it's only like 2 people in the seat in a row, or if I'm like in economy and it's like 3 people in a row. I'm the person that always has the window seat, and then I be having to get up during the flight. Don't let it be no 5 hour. Don't let it be no cross country flight. No, don't let it be from LA to New York, because I'm gonna drink a lot of water, and it's probably gonna be a red eye flight. So you probably gonna be wanting to sleep. Everybody probably gonna be asleep. Me too. Except I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna wake up and go to the bathroom just like I do when I'm at my house. I be falling asleep, and then a couple of times throughout the night I gotta get up and go to the bathroom. Sometimes in my dreams, I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta go to the bathroom in my dreams. And that's the thing that wakes me up to tell me to go to the bathroom. Am I unreasonable for continuously choosing the window seat, knowing that I am going to have to get up and use the bathroom? And here's the second part to it. If you are a person that has the aisle and you have to get up, do y'all be getting mad? So whenever, it's very rare that I'm in the aisle, but when I am in the aisle, I never get mad. But I never get mad because I'm usually the person making an aisle person get up. In first class, it's a little bit different, like, because the seats are so big. If you knocked out, I'm tall, I got long legs, I'm thin. So I just sometimes, if they really knocked out, I'll just like climb over them, and like nobody knows. But obviously in a 3-row seat, it's a little bit harder. So if you have an aisle seat and somebody needs to get up, if they get up multiple times, especially on one of them long flights where you knocked out, do y'all be mad? And if you do be mad, is that reasonable or unreasonable? Y'all let me know in the comments. Hashtag it with What's Up with Z. Okay, let's get into these main topics. J-Lo. Oh, this must have been what I wanted to talk about last week. J-Lo's the villain. J-Lo, if you are my loving, I gave you all my Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. I'm just Jenny from the block. 'Cause I'm yours, the way you walk, the way you... Okay. Those are the J-Lo songs that I know. But the reason why I think I notated that J-Lo's the villain is because last week I saw in the news cycle, in the headlines, that J-Lo was seen, speaking of flights, again, wow, we on the airplane a lot so far in this episode, but J-Lo had taken a commercial flight. She was overseas and she had taken a commercial flight. I'm sure J-Lo has been used to flying private for a very long time, like over 20 years at this point. And she was seen flying a commercial flight, and she had the entire row, though. So she was in a commercial flight, and she was in what appeared to be economy, because it was the 3 rows, or the 3-seat row. And she was in the window seat. Her bag was in the middle seat, and maybe security. Her security guard was in the aisle seat. And that really shouldn't be news, unless something happened on the plane while J-Lo was on it involving J-Lo, right? Then that could be news. But the reason why it kind of made headlines, well, one, somebody snapped a picture of her on the plane, which I think is really unreasonable. I don't think it's so unreasonable for you to be on a plane with J-Lo, because that's like something that's probably, that's like a very rare occurrence. Like I said, J-Lo's probably been flying private for over 20 years. And so it is a rare occurrence, right? To like just see J-Lo walking through your local airport. You get what I'm saying? Or sitting in the row right in front of you. Like, I'm actually surprised that she didn't buy like all of the surrounding rows, you know? And this is why I say she's the villain, because if she did that, she would have also got backlash for that as well. Anyway, somebody took a picture. And like I said, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask J-Lo if you can get a picture with her. I would not do it because I just know how it feels for me when I'm traveling. Sometimes it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's 11:30 at night. Sometimes I've had a really, long day or weekend or whatever, and I don't feel very confident, and I don't look as vibrant as I can look. It wouldn't be it's not the look that I would want saved in somebody's phone or posted on someone's page, it's just, that's not what I want. And people still come up to me in airports and stuff like that and are like, hey, can I get a picture? And, I'm so afraid to be the villain. I'm always like, sure, but you could tell on my face. You could tell on my face that I don't want to do it. And some people are really aware, like people who like know me and follow me, as much as they're fans, they still get it. And they're like, girl, I understand. No worries. I'm going to see you again. I'm coming to the show, whatever, And some people are just like oblivious and they want their picture anyway. So I think that is not reasonable or unreasonable. It's just like, but to just snap a picture just to kind of make somebody, just a public figure, look bad, like just to take a picture of J-Lo on a commercial flight in her 3-seat row, just to post it, like, I guess things aren't going so well. I don't know what you get from that. I know what you get from it if you take the picture and then you go to TMZ and sell it. Then I know you got money. And that makes more sense, I don't think I would do that, but at least that makes sense like that, but to just post it just so you could be like, right, just so you can start a conversation that essentially kind of like, I know you, I was about to say kind of like bashes her, but it's like you actually not even bashing J-Lo. You actually shading 99% of the rest of the world who are flying economy. So, anywho, so this picture started circulating and everybody, like I didn't see one person on, you know, headlines. I didn't see one person on social media, like speaking up for J-Lo. Everybody was like, oh, this is what she gets. Like they spun it two ways, right? It was either like, ha, 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 I guess she's falling off. Which is, it's like, you don't know nothing. It's going to take a lot. For J-Lo has accumulated so much fame and wealth. It's going to take a lot. And so if you sitting in your small little apartment or room or town or wherever you are in your unhappy life, and I don't even say this as like a J-Lo fan. I'm just saying this as like a rational, reasonable person. If you sitting wherever you at in your probably not so joy-filled existence, praying for J-Lo's fall off, praying for J-Lo's downfall, don't waste your time. It's going to take so much. It's going to take so much. You be better applying that energy towards your own thriving, you know? It's going to take a lot for J-Lo to fall off. But then the other way they tried to spin it was, oh, this is a PR stunt. She just, you know, people are saying that she's such a diva, like she's getting a bad rap as being a diva. And so, you know, she's just trying to show that she's Jenny from the block, that she's, you know, from the Bronx. I don't know J-Lo. But I am going to make a reasonably strong assumption that if Jennifer Lopez had another option than taking that flight, she would have. It was a short flight, like an hour from one European country to another. And sometimes that happens. I've been to places like, if anybody's ever been to Essence Fest, right, which is coming up. If you've ever been to Essence Fest, it's like, first of all, it's not a lot of flights to go into New Orleans, right? It's not a lot of flights to go into New Orleans. It's not a lot of direct flights to go into New Orleans, right, from bigger major cities that are further away. And so everybody's buying up the flights, right? The flights are expensive because it's like so many people, it's in very high demand, right? But then companies are paying for the flights, you know, whatever. So now, let's say you are on your flight, and let's say you fly first class, and you on your way to Essence Festival. But then something happens, and they have to. Let's say something happens. I don't know. There was some storm or something. It messed up all air travel. Flights got delayed. Flights got canceled, et cetera, et cetera. Now they got to redirect people. They got to put people on planes, da, 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 da. But still, all of them same people still got to get to New Orleans, right? So it's going to be a very strong possibility that for you to still get there in time or in the time that you wanted to, that you might not be able to fly first class. So maybe now you sitting in 23A with the quote unquote common folk. Maybe that's what you're doing because you got to get somewhere. That does not mean you trying to be with the people. That does not mean you fell off. And it doesn't mean that somebody should take the picture and then try to play you because it's just like these are regular occurrences. So what probably happened, the most reasonable assumption is that J-Lo had to get somewhere, and for whatever reasons, that was her only option, and she had to take it. But she's definitely the villain. And I don't know how she got there. I don't know if she cares about being there. But she's definitely the villain because there was no person that I saw that was like, Come on, you guys. Give J-Lo a break. And I was like, oof, she's the villain. Okay, what else? I do not want to be the villain. You know, I talked about, his name is Michael Beecher. Did I get that? Well, I can't remember his name again. Yes, Michael Beach. Remember I talked about how I ain't like him because of the roles he plays. There's a part of me that, like, even like in acting work, I never really want to play the villain. I never really want to play the villain because I don't want people to see me as that in real life. And that doesn't mean that I don't have qualities that can be off-putting sometimes. That doesn't mean that I'm not disappointing people at times. That doesn't mean that I'm not being sometimes mean. It doesn't mean that I'm not having bad days. It doesn't mean that people won't have, you know, less than ideal experiences with me from time to time. But I just don't want to I don't want to be in a position where the majority of people are unwilling to give me grace. And it seems like J-Lo is in that position right now. Okay. The BET Awards just happened this past weekend. The BET Awards. Okay, so people looked great. Some people didn't. There were wonderful performances. There was a tribute for Usher. And I don't want to be shady, but there was a few times where people was doing their tributes to Usher, and it was a good thing Usher had on his sunglasses. He was very aware that the camera was on him, that the camera was panning back and forth to him, but you could tell Usher did not approve. I'm not going to post no clips because eventually I will know all of these people and be working with them. So, but just know that I know that Usher knew that ain't who he would have chose as the tributee. No, he the tributee, right? As the tributor, that's not a word. I don't even know. Anyway, so one of the big kind of like faux pas that, I don't know if that is, it's late. It's 1:59 a.m. I gotta go. I just realized I don't have an Ask Z. Oh my God, you guys, I don't have an Ask Z. I just realized that. I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, oh my God, that space is empty. So you know what that means, you guys. That means that you have to flood the comment section with some Ask Z's. Ask me. I'll actually do an Ask Z because whatever. Okay, so the BET Awards this past weekend. Teraji P. Henson hosted. This is not the first time Teraji has hosted. We love Teraji. We love when Teraji hosts. Teraji has amazing personality. Teraji is a great performer. Teraji is young. And I think we love seeing Teraji. Opposite of J-Lo, I feel like I hear very little slander when it comes to Teraji P. Henson. So she was doing her skit. And she was working a crowd, and she did a skit where she is either referencing or talking to Keith Lee. If you don't know who Keith Lee is a food critic, like an online. Critic is not the right word. He goes to different places. He tries food, and then he recommends it. Him, his wife, his family, and he has a big following. And the only reason why I just don't want to say critic, maybe let me look it up. What do you need to do to be a food critic? Maybe he is. Sometimes we get so food critic qualifications. Sometimes we are like, oh no, well they didn't go to school, but some things we just allow people to sort of like gatekeep, but it's like, he is essentially critiquing the food, and he does have an audience of people, an audience that ain't never reading the Zagat magazines, however it's pronounced, ain't never reading Time Out, ain't never reading, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't never going to Yelp. Like, he really hit an untapped audience, and he tastes the food, essentially critiques it. So, I mean, I should be able to call him a food critic, right? And then people, depending on his critique, go and try it. And apparently he's like saved, you know, or helped out like a bunch of restaurants via his critiques. Let's see. How to become a food critic, a step-by-step guide. Now, come on, I ain't got time for no step-by-step guide. What is a food critic? A food critic is a writer who specializes in, I like how the answer be in the first sentence. That's the thing. That is the thing. So essentially he is doing part of a critic's job. He's trying the food and giving his opinion. However, a food critic is a writer. But what if we stop writing? Specialize in providing thoughtful commentary on thought. How are they going to say thoughtful? Like, who are you to decide if the commentary is thoughtful or not? Thoughtful commentary on their experiences dining out, also known as restaurant critics. These writers, okay, so that's the key word. They're writers. But I feel like that happened when we was only reading newspapers. See? Keith Lee, the TikTok food critic, he was front row, actually, him and his wife, at the BET Awards. And Teraji went to him and kind of was doing like a little bit of a skit, but she went to the wrong person. I'll just let y'all see the video.
Meth is married, are you? Are you? Hi, how are you? Mr. Keith Lee, I know what you're thinking right now. This is about a 10.9 out of a 10. I got caught up in my own inner monologue. I'm so sorry. You're thinking this is a 10.9 out of 10. My bad. You fine too, so call me. Give him his flower.
Okay, so she went to the wrong person, and the guy is like kind of playing along at first, and then when she says it, like he don't really know what's happening. I don't know who that guy is. I may be making a mistake again, Keke Palmer. I'm sorry to that man. I don't know who that man is. I thought he was a seat filler, but y'all might know. Y'all might know exactly who that man was, and if y'all know who that man was, I am sorry to that man. But that man was like playing along with it at first until she actually said Keith Lee's name. And then he was like, oh, that's not me. You actually, uh-oh. That's actually the look he gave. It sounded like if we had to put sound effects to the look that in the gesture that he was doing, it was like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's 2:04 a.m. So. So she realizes on live television that she made a mistake, and that can happen, right? Here's what I think is unreasonable. I do think that the mistake is a bit unreasonable, and the reason why I think the mistake is unreasonable is because she wasn't riffing. It'd be very different if she was improvising. It's very different if you improvise and it doesn't go well. But if something is scripted, that means it should have been rehearsed. And Keith Lee doesn't need to be in the seat, but you got to have a picture of Keith Lee. You got to know what he looks like. Like you have to. So the other day I did a commercial audition, and what was it for? Oh, it was for the ad Verbo, which is like the competitor for Airbnb. And the celebrity in the ad is Nick Saban. Nick Saban is he's most known for coaching the University of Alabama football team and winning multiple championships. Right. He's also a really kind of got like a very stern personality. Like I think he's sort of like a menacing sort of figure. Right. And so essentially, I don't want to give the commercial away because I think they could probably sue me. It's 2:06 in the morning. So, so I go into the to the audition. They're casting a family. And so it's me, the guy who's playing my husband, and 2 kids, right? And the person running the castings explains the scenarios to us. You know, in commercial auditions, unlike theatrical auditions where you may memorize your lines and stuff, the commercial auditions, you don't. They have kind of like a board for you to just, it's right in front of you for you to read the lines, right? And he's explaining the premise of the ad, and he's like, you don't need to know who Nick Saban is. But in the ad, we have to react to him. And if anybody is going to have a different reaction, most people rather are going to have a different reaction to Nick Saban versus Halle Berry versus Donald Trump versus Barney versus fill in the blank versus The Rock. Do you get what I'm saying? So it kind of is important. It's very important because the whole premise of the commercial is based on kind of like his menacing figure. You get what I'm saying? Like it's based on like what the public's perception of him is. And so the guy playing my husband, he didn't know who it was. So we did it once, right? We did a take once, and after, you know, the guy, the person running the session was like, oh, you don't need to know, you know, whatever. And so we did the session, and clearly the performance wasn't what the commercial requires because they don't know. The kids don't know, and he don't know who Nick Saban is. I only know who Nick Saban is because I dated a guy who was from Alabama and a huge fan of, and so for the time that I was dating him, I watched a lot of Nick Saban. Anywho, so before we did the second take, I was like, I said to the guy in the casting with me, I was the one who's playing my husband. I was like, wait, but do you know who Nick Saban is? And he was like, no. But I said, okay, no, you need to know who Nick Saban is for this. And then I explained to him who Nick Saban was. And then we did another take, and the session runner was like, okay, great. Yeah, it's important information. I say all of that to say, if you go and write a sketch that directly points to, and you have to reference and go to and interact. And obviously Teraji didn't write the sketch. Rashida Sheeds wrote I don't know if she specifically wrote the sketch, but she's the head writer, and Sheeds is great. Sheeds is absolutely wonderful. So this is no slander. It's just that certain preparation has to happen with scripted stuff. And I don't know why it didn't happen. I don't know what was going on with, I don't know. I don't know what caused that kind of mistake, but it was a bit unreasonable that it happened, especially because Keith Lee hasn't changed his look. He looks exactly how he's been looking. I mean, maybe his locks are like a tiny bit longer. That's it. But he looked like how he looks. So if you're gonna do a sketch, it's just the same way. It's just the reverse. If I was in the audience and I had to do something and I had to say, and Teraji, I ain't never heard nobody slander Teraji, but I'm standing next to Jada Pinkett. What? What is this, the Academy Awards? You know what I'm saying? Like that's, I'm about to say white people shit. But so I did feel like that was kind of like an unreasonable mistake. But again, just going into Teraji not being a villain, I was kind of like, but give her a break. Because it's like, we love Teraji. So it's like, I know that Teraji didn't do it on purpose. Do you get what I'm saying? Whatever happened, whether it was a lack of preparation, whether it was just kind of like a brain fart, whether it was whatever happened, whether he switched seats and they told her like he's in the third seat from the aisle or whatever. I don't believe, because of Teraji P. Henson's track history, I don't believe that there was any malice. And because of that, I'm like, I mean, yeah, I don't really like that happened, but it's okay. We all lived. Like, we'll be fine, right? Keith Lee will be fine. His wife will be fine. He'll keep going to restaurants. It's fine. But then and it's a little bit embarrassing, but again, Teraji got so much personality. It ain't a lot that she know how to get out of situations. You get what I'm saying? Anywho, but then I saw people demanding an apology. I literally watched a woman on TikTok say, I demand Teraji apologize to Keith Lee. And I was like, I don't really know what Keith Lee's wife looks like for real. I probably know a little bit. I don't. If she walked in my office right now, I wouldn't even know it was her. I'm sorry to that lady. It's 2:12 in the morning. Okay. However, what was I saying? I had to look. I had to look in the comments of this video. It didn't have a lot of likes. I will say it wasn't a video that picked up a lot of traction. This particular video, a lot of people were saying, because I saw that in the search, it was like Teraji apologized to Keith Lee. But this woman was like, I demand Teraji apologize. I thought, oh, this must be his wife. This must be his wife or his lawyer or his publicist. Oh, no, you just a random woman in the world demanding that one person that you do not know at all apologize to another person that you do not know at all over something unreasonable, but still kind of trivial. I couldn't believe it. I thought that was the most unreasonable thing. I'm not sure. You guys can let me know in the comments if Teraji did put out an apology. I think that it's very reasonable if she does. If Teraji says, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't, and even if she says why that happened or doesn't say why, as much as I don't believe it was malicious, just because something isn't malicious doesn't mean that you can't recognize that your mistake may have made someone else feel or look bad, you know, like it may have made Keith Lee, it may have been embarrassing for him because I mean, he's really, really built a following and a platform enough for himself that he would be sitting front row at the BET Awards and being referenced in his name being spoken out of Teraji's mouth. That's the work that he's put in the past, couple of years. And so in a moment where it may have been celebratory for him, her not really knowing who he was could have felt a bit like diminishing or like a damper on like the celebratory moment. I'm not sure. I'm just considering all things, He might have been like, I don't even care about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that ain't no big deal. I still love Teraji or I don't love Teraji, whatever. Like, I have no idea. I don't know Keith Lee either. It's 2:15 in the morning. But if Teraji has already, or if she plans to, just acknowledging that, like, I'm sorry for the mistake that we made. I think that would be totally reasonable and right in line with like the stand-up woman that we know Teraji to be. And I did see like a couple of posts like that I felt like were reasonable additions to the conversations. Like I saw people posting like, hey, we really, really have to keep in mind, like, just because someone is very popular, just because a lot of us know someone, it doesn't mean that everybody knows them, And I really do agree with that. However, because it was a scripted show, that means it was written. You know what I'm saying? It was written. And so it should have been, all of the measures should have been, everything that needed to be done for that not to happen should have been done. But it's true. It's like the people who we think are very, very popular. I mean, Was it last year? I think it was either the beginning of this year or last year. I performed I performed in Beverly Hills. It was last year. It was definitely last year. I did two shows at the Sorting Room in Beverly Hills, and the late show, Tabitha came. If you don't know Tabitha Brown, vegan like food influencer, and just all around like really loved public personality, loved by a lot of people, has collaborations in products and things like that. Like, I mean, just really doing like really wonderful things, for herself. And one of my closest friends. And most people know that. Most people who know me and know her know that we're really, really close, like really, really close friends, right? And so she came to the late show. I had two shows that night, and she came to the late show, and I wasn't really letting anybody come like backstage except Tabitha and like, obviously like Chance and like all the people that she had with her. And so I gave her name to like the older black lady who was like, to come down to my green room, you had to like get on the elevator, whatever. And so after the show, I text her and I was like, hey, just come downstairs. Like your name is with, I let them know that that you and whoever you had with you were like cool to come downstairs, whatever. And I think I also assumed, and so did Tabitha, this older black woman who was the person that was going to get anybody, like she was the person either stopping people from trying to get into my dressing room or allowing the people who got permission to come into my dressing room. It was this older black lady. And so I think we both assumed, just thinking about Tabitha's demographic, we assumed that like, yeah, she knows exactly who that is. You know what I'm saying? Tabitha got to that door and she was like, hey, I'm here to go into Zainab's green room. And the lady was like, what's your name? And she wasn't even, how some people can just be like, they are just being assholes. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't. This was genuine. She said, what's your name? And Tabitha said, and with all humility, I don't think she was like, Tabitha, like, duh, everybody knows me. But I think sometimes you just look, you like, yeah, this is somebody, it's a reasonable assumption for you, ma'am, to know who I am. But for whatever reason, then maybe that lady ain't on the internet. Maybe that lady ain't on the internet. She don't go into Ulta. She don't go into Target. She don't, whatever. But she did not know. And she said, well, what's your name? And Tabitha gave her her name. And she called me and said, hello, Miss Zainab? And I said, yes. And she said, I have someone up here about, what's your name, Miss? And I heard Tabitha laugh, like chuckle a little bit and say Tabitha Brown. And she said, I have a Miss Tabitha Brown down here with you. She has a group. And I said, yes. Yes, they're fine. Please let them come down. I only say that because it's true. Not everybody knows everybody, regardless of how popular you think they are. Regardless of how much of a name or how known you think they are, they're not. But like I said, the exception, and forgive me if I'm repeating myself, it is 2:20 a.m. We're going to call this episode A Wrinkle in Time. We're not, but yeah, not everybody knows that, but this was scripted. And so Teraji should have known exactly who Keith Lee was and who she was and when she was talking to him. I think also too, like the copy that they kind of wrote for her or whatever she was saying, it just seemed more reasonable to flirt with that guy again, whoever he was. I'm sorry to that man. He seemed like kind of more buff, more, I don't know. He kind of seemed more up like Taraji's alley in terms of like attraction. So maybe that's the thing that kind of threw her off her and made her go to him. I don't know. Anywho, I think I'm going to stop there because it's 2:21 a.m. This is an Ask Z that I imagine some of you guys are, not a good amount of you, but this is probably one of the most popular questions I get after my shows from at least one person. And it's always the aspiring comedian. And the question is always something around like, I either just started doing stand-up. I got on stage for the first time, a short time ago. I really want to do stand-up. Do you have any advice? What should I do? Et cetera, et cetera. And so anybody that sort of watches me and is maybe a fan of the work that I'm doing in the comedy space and possibly like inspired, like you watch me and feel like, oh, I can do that, or I want to do that, or she makes me feel like it's possible to do that. One, Nike, they really, really hit it on the nose with this. Just do it. Just do it. And do it a lot. Do it as much as possible. That's the only way that you know, and it's the only way that you can get even a little bit good. It's the only way. You got to get on stage. Like, it doesn't matter how many jokes you write in your book. Well, then now you got a joke book, but you're not a stand-up comedian. And you won't be a stand-up comedian. You won't be a stand-up comedian until you get up on stage. You stand up on stage with a mic. And you relay your ideas out loud to an audience. And in order to get good at it, you have to do it over and over and over and over again. And yeah, so even if it's an open mic, like when I first started, comedy clubs don't just put you up. Comedy clubs, they got to make money. They don't waste their time. Even if you go to a show and it seems like they wasted your time, they ain't trying to waste time. Just know that. But I went to open mics. I went to cafes. I went to bars. I went to yoga studios. I went to cafeterias. I went to restaurants. I went to parks. I went to improv spaces. I went to gyms. I went to people's apartments. I went to people's backyards. I went to anywhere where they were saying, come and do your material. You'll get 5 minutes. I went to those places. I went to those places as much as possible until clubs started inviting me to perform there. So yeah, I hope that helps. But y'all, write in some Ask Z's. I got to put up a post. I'm going to put up a post to get some Ask Z's. So that we can have like a real juicy one. Because like y'all said, that's where the tea be, right? But it's 2:24 in the morning. So that's it for me, you guys. Thank you so much for watching another episode of I'm Reasonable with Zainab Johnson. I'm Zainab Johnson. You guys, make sure that you continue to be reasonable this week. Have an amazing week. Enjoy your holiday. Hopefully it's a long weekend for you guys. Enjoy your holiday weekend. And I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.